The standard iconography of Lord Shiva functions as a biological map of the cosmos, encoding ancient laws of power and devotion within his physical form. Mahadev rejects the gold and jewels of other deities, choosing instead to adorn himself with living entities of immense and terrifying power. Upon his crown sits Ganga, the celestial goddess of heavenly power, whose presence can purify even the deepest human transgressions. Around his neck coils Vasuki, the king of the underworld, a serpent whose breath carries a lethal, world-ending venom. This ascetic god remains suspended between these two violent extremes, anchored by the absolute purity of heaven on one side and the toxic depths of the underworld on the other. The crisis began in the mortal realm. 60,000 sons of King Sagara were cursed to remain as ashes, their souls trapped between worlds until the waters of the heavenly Ganga could touch their remains. King Bhagirath undertook a multi-generational penance in these harsh Himalayan valleys, standing for years in the freezing mountains to bring the river to earth. Ganga agreed to descend, but she did so with a massive, arrogant ego, aiming her full, devastating force directly at Shiva to wash him away. Shiva met this catastrophic fall with silence, catching the entire torrent within the infinite, matted maze of his hair. Trapped in the dark labyrinths of the Jata, the goddess's arrogance collapsed as she spent years searching for an exit that did not exist. Shiva eventually loosened his locks, allowing Ganga to flow onto the earth as a gentle, life-giving stream that provided salvation to the 60,000 souls. This establishes a divine law. Power is permitted to enter the world only after its arrogance has been thoroughly dismantled. While Ganga descended from the heavens, the king of serpents practiced a quiet asceticism, leaving his emerald palaces in the underworld to fast in a mountain cave. When granted a boon, Vasuki sought no kingdom or immortality. He asked only for the permanent right to serve Mahadev. That devotion was tested during the Samudra Manthan, the churning of the cosmic ocean, where a rope was needed to spin a mountain and extract the nectar of life. Vasuki offered his own body as that rope. He endured hours of intense friction and heat as gods and demons pulled him from both sides, suffering in silence to ensure the task was completed. The churning produced an unexpected horror, the halahal, a corrosive, world-ending poison that threatened to dissolve all of creation. Shiva stepped forward to consume the toxin, freezing it in his throat to save the cosmos, and becoming Nilkanth, the blue-throated protector. Throughout this agony, Vasuki remained coiled around Shiva's neck, willingly sharing the burning heat of the poison to support his lord. True devotion is measured by this willingness to share the heavy burden of suffering without seeking recognition. The once haughty goddess now handles the heavy duties of an earthly mother, sustaining the daily spiritual survival of millions along these banks. Vasuki sits at the peak of Hindu philosophy. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna identifies him as the ultimate representative of all serpents. These transformations center on absolute surrender. When the universe generates an excess of power or poison, Shiva is the only entity capable of absorbing the overflow. This brings a new clarity to the opening image of the meditating god. Shiva wears the broken ego on his crown as a blessing, and selfless devotion around his throat as armor. His living canvas proves that ultimate strength is found only through total surrender.